everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Competitive Edge Real Estate Report. I'm your host, Barry Overton, International Real Estate Advisor. And today we got another superstar guest. One of the things that's always important to me when I'm bringing consumers information is making sure that you're getting information that you probably are not really aware of that can give you the competitive edge when you're buying or selling a home. And we're going to talk more on the buy side today. So I have a gentleman today that I've had the opportunity to work with and become friends with, and he's doing some amazing things in the mortgage industry to help the consumer really win, especially in this time when we're concerned about interest rates. He's been in the mortgage industry for 24 years. He's been able to work at different levels in the mortgage industry. He's now a branch manager of Edge Home Finance, and we're going to learn more about them here momentarily. But one thing I can tell you with my experience of working with him is the customer service and the consumer experience is priority one for him. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let me bring on Chad.Humphrey. Chad, how you doing, sir?
Hey Barry, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what we've talked like off record here, just in regards to the market and how, a lot of times we believe what we see in the media, and we believe even sometimes what we're hearing from probably less experienced mortgage brokers or real estate
Yep.
agents in regards to what the market is doing. But again, 24 years in the industry, I would definitely look at you as an expert. So I would love to just have your expert opinion in regards to the state of the market right now, and who's at the advantage right now.
You got it. Absolutely. The one thing, this is actually perfect timing for this talk we're having, because we just saw the Fed raise prime rate 3/4. Now, the media and the news, when we're talking about fear, would like to think that mortgage rates went up 3/4 of a point. Now, mortgage rates did have a tough week this week, but that does not correlate. Prime rate is going to affect your car loans, your home equity line of credit, your credit cards. That does not affect mortgage bonds and mortgage-backed securities. So today, we want to talk about a big difference between brokers and retail banking. Retail banking is going to be like your credit union, your bank that you go into, or some of the mortgage companies that have a storefront are going to be your retail mortgage bankers versus a broker. So I always tell people it's very similar to if you were to walk into an Allstate office, or if you were to walk into a State Farm office, you're going to get Allstate products or you're going to get State Farm products. That's like walking into a retail mortgage bank. When you go to a broker is going to be very similar to walking into an insurance broker or connecting with an insurance broker online that is then going to shop Allstate, Progressive, State Farm, Nationwide, finding the best policy and coverages for one, your budget, but then also just the best annual price that they can get you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, like I said, we're seeing in the news these days the concerns about the market. And I've talked to a lot of buyers that are saying, well, I'm going to wait till the interest rates go down.
Yep.
And like, well, wait a minute. A year ago, you were waiting for prices to go down. So, and honestly, those people that are making the decision to move now, first-time home buyers, or even people that are currently homeowners and they're selling and they're purchasing, are finding some great opportunities. And it's with companies like yours that they're able to really see that, okay, everything that I'm hearing in the media is more smoke and mirrors, and being able to talk to a professional like you has put them in a position of really being able to win right now.
Yeah. It's interesting because when you look at the news, you look at the media, they are designed to create fear. That is 100% their motive, and that's what they want to do. So just like when we went through COVID, it's like, do you want to listen to, the media, or do you want to actually like look at the science? And so right now I'm telling people, look at the science, look at the data. When people say like, oh, we're in a housing market because there's price reductions, we're not in a housing bubble that's going to crash. What's happened is that pool of buyers that at 2% interest rates were able to get into that $1 million price range. Now that rates are up in that 5.5%, that pool of buyers is just now down at like 900,000. So the market jumped up, I think, what, 19% last year.
Yeah.
That's going to fluctuate based on the buyers that are able to buy those properties, right? So that's why we're seeing price reductions. It's just that the strength of the buyers, it's not like all of our salaries went up $19,000 or all the W-2 employees we work with went up. Their salary stayed the same. Interest rates went up, their buying power went down. So it's not a housing bubble. And so if you're looking, especially in Colorado, look at the historical data. Colorado has never lost. I think 1 year they've lost value, even through the 2008 crisis. Colorado was strong. It's a very desirable state for people to move to. So what I tell people right now is, if you're a buyer, we've heard that cliche, right? Marry the home, date the rate.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk about that, but there's truth to that. Most people do not stay in their mortgage for 30 years. If somebody stays in their mortgage for 5 to 7 years, that's a pretty lengthy time. Most people are going to move and jockey their position every 3 to 5 years, whether it's, taking out equity to do a remodel or taking out equity right now to pay off credit card debt. So, definitely don't be afraid of the market. Now, there is going to be a big difference between a broker that is able to shop multiple lenders out there. We're approved with over 50 of them. So, whether you need a bank statement loan or there's a debt service coverage ratio loan for investors, where all you have to be is 80%, that rental payment has to be 80% of the total mortgage payment. And that's what they use to qualify. So there's no income documents there. That's another huge one. But for your average buyer that feels like they're getting priced out of the market, when you look at a broker, because we don't have the overhead that a lot of these retail lenders have, where it becomes layers of management that all need a piece of that loan, or the big retail storefront that very few people are working out of anymore. And so when we are able to save those expenses, we're anywhere from 0.5 to 0.75% lower in rate with that. So, a lot of people will be afraid to say, go shop your rate, but now's the time to shop your rate.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, my personal experience on 2 different occasions has been, and it was one before we saw, the significant change, probably like back in March, we did a deal. And then just recently we've done a deal. And in both of those experiences, number one, I get to the closing table and I'm looking at the rate that my client got, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And, and it makes me look good as the agent, say, I remember I sent you to that guy,
right.
So, but, that's one of the things that has definitely been impressive is, from the wholesale side of things, of being able to get some great rates for our clients.
Well, and we average, you probably hear some noise in the background here. I'm out at United Wholesale Mortgage. United Wholesale Mortgage is the #1 purchase lender in America. And they work strictly with brokers. So you can't go to them directly as a consumer. If you try to, you will then get referred to a broker. They run a phenomenal show out here, and their average clear to close is 14 days or under. My team is averaging about 12 days or less. We just closed that loan for you in 9 days. And it was smooth. It gets a little bit hectic because we're trying to get all the moving pieces together in a 9-day time frame. But let me pan my computer here so you can just kind of see from one area.
Wow. Whoa. Yeah, I don't think I even saw that part earlier, man.
Massive. There's 8,000 employees here that support the broker. And so, when you might hear someone say like, oh, brokers have no control over their loans or whatnot, that couldn't be further from the truth. We have, over 100, there's different support pods all over. This is just one building. So this building that they're in used to be a GM automotive assembly plant.
Wow.
So I'm out here in Pontiac, Michigan. That's where UWM is. And so having that support, they're one of 50 lenders, but I'll tell you, UWM gets 98% of my loans.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was really an opportunity to see the inside view of a well-oiled machine with UWM. So it may now, for me, honestly, it makes a lot more sense as to why things move so quickly, because you can see, everyone that's in place and everything that is in place
Yep.
for all the brokers all around the country that are working with them. So that is awesome. And again, we talked a little bit about service, but I think for me, that's always important when you're sending a client to a mortgage broker. And the thing about you and your processor is, the communication is, second to none, really. The the speed in which how you work and the process and just making it a smooth process as it should be for a first-time home buyer or any home buyer. So I have to applaud you for the service that you guys bring to the table.
I appreciate that. And consumer experience is my number one pillar. And I didn't have 100% control of that when I worked in retail until I decided to run my own branch. And now I can run that experience exactly the way that I want it. And for the consumers, I show them the whole back end of our system so they understand how pricing works. They understand how underwriting works and what I do on my end. And yes, it's like going to a French, 301 class because it's a lot there. But every single person that I've shown the back end systems to, because I believe in transparency as well. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'll show them if I was pricing it out like a retail branch, this is what it would be like. If I am pricing it out, for friends, family, or, great referral partners, this is how it's priced out. And that's where we're typically 0.5% to 0.75% less in rate. And in our price ranges in Colorado, that could be $300 to $600 a month difference.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, Chad, it's been great to have this opportunity to learn more and share more with the market because, again, I've been in real estate for 21 years, but since I've been working with you, I've been able to learn, those differences between the wholesale and retail and why, as a consumer, it really makes sense to take a very close look at retail. So I appreciate you for giving us, again, that inside view to
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
And if there's anything else that you'd love to add, I'd love to hear any more.
Well, I think for consumers, when you look at the price reductions, I think I looked at RE Colorado, and there was, I think, 2,800 price reductions. For agents or for realtors that are watching this as well, you hear people talk about the 2-1 buy down. Like, I'll just do a 2-1 buy down. And now you're seeing retail, do a 3-1 buy down. That's just because their rates are creeping up in those high sixes. They need to do the 3-1 buy down to even get to where, brokers are. But with that 2-1 buy down, if a real estate agent lowered a listing price by $15,000, that's going to save a buyer about $89 a month. For $12,000 on just rough numbers, they could actually buy down the buyer's interest rate to 3.75 the first year, 4.75 the second year, and then year 27 through 30, it would be 5.75. Price that out because that saves the client on a $500,000 loan amount about $600 a month for the first year, $300 a month for the second year. And a lot of agents will be like, well, that's all the benefit of doing that seller concessions for the buyer. And I'm like, well, what's the benefit of lowering the purchase price, right? You're still trying to attract more buyers to the property, but this allows that buyer to save, almost $13,000 over the first 2 years of the loan. And you're going to get a lot of buyer attraction into that listing when you offer that. So, Barry, you and I have talked about a lot of different stuff, and I always try to bring that value first and bring all the tools that one is going to give the consumer a better experience, but then also the tools that's give an agent the ability to have a conversation and get more business, because we're all, trying to get more business and trying to provide that, top tier white glove experience, which then turns into more of a referral business, which both of you and I run,
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that, we've even talked about the rate buy down, and you actually have a calculator that you were able to create that just helps to explain it, because again, we can talk about it, but when you can put the numbers in there for a client, for their situation, it just makes a whole lot more sense. And that's, again, some of the tools that you're bringing to the table to help agents with their clients, and also to be able to help the consumer.
Well, and there's a couple tools that, because I believe also in helping, my fellow colleagues, people that are in retail as mortgage, and they're, losing deal after deal to rate, because it's just right now we're in a market where brokers, retail's here, brokers are here, and that's even your credit unions and bank. And I've had people that I'm working with, say it's not a sales pitch. Like, Chad, I went to my credit union, my husband went to his credit union, and you're 0.5% better in rate before we even told you that we went and did that. So there's a lot of truth to that. So connect with me, because one, there's a lot of tools I can give to realtors, but then also I have a calculator that you can actually price out comp scenarios if you are, in retail as a mortgage banker, and you're frustrated, and you don't want to keep losing business and whatnot. Edge is the number 2 independent broker in the nation, and there's a reason behind it. The number 1 company has 3 times as many loan officers. Last month, we were 200 loans shy of beating them, with a third of the crew. So we totally believe that, culture matters, and having a high quality mortgage loan originator that knows what they're doing. Edge will not hire new people. They're all about the consumer experience, and the numbers speak for itself. So.
All right. And what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can give me a call or text, which is 303-887-3862. You can find me online at milehighmortgagebrokers.com. Find me on social media. I'd love to sit down. Like you said, I did create a 2-1 buy down calculator for an agent if they wanted to put in their own numbers and see what that seller concession would actually be. That's just milehighmortgagebrokers.com/we love our partners. And then there's also one that I've built for loan originators that just wanted to put in some numbers. They're not ready to talk to somebody just yet, but they want to kind of see what their comp would be with Edge. And you'll probably come close to doubling your comp with the same amount of volume that you're doing. So you can reach that. I think you said it here at the end, there'll be a thumbnail where you have my information, so you can grab it from there. And I'd love to sit down and just, talk and show you the difference of what we can do and how we can save your buyers more money by a lower interest rate, which then gives them that increased buying power, so they don't necessarily have to get out of that $800,000 to $900,000 range because rates went up.
All right. Well, again, Chad, thank you so much for joining us. This is a wealth of information. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this is the Competitive Edge Real Estate Report, where we are giving you that edge. This information can save you thousands of dollars. So definitely reach out to Chad and learn more in regards to the next move that you make and making the best decisions on how you do the financing with that. So until next week, we'll see you and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Barry. Appreciate the time.